I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Coffee here, that's good. How about Mr. Schulte? Here. Mr. Jones? Here. Mr. Helmers? Yeah. Mr. Bohr? Here. Auditor's office has to be right? The first item is to approve today's agenda. I understand that Mr. Helmers asked for the 9 o'clock item.
Well, John Schmidt called me. He wanted to address the board about that tile, that culvert, or should say the culvert we're going to replace. He was planning on being here, but he got called for jury duty, so he cannot be here. You said he sent a letter along with it?
Yeah, I made a copy of the letter and the computer.
So it's
Thoughts on that? I'm fine with accepting it, noting it in the minutes. The time that we were discussing it was posted and he was able to come in. I have a little reservations to going back and readdressing something that was addressed already. Is there new information or something
I
that
think
you didn't consider?
It's just from John Schmidt. I think there is. I think it's worth opening back up. I see Nick's pickup is here. He was going to be here too, but
I told him about it, so hopefully.
no, I don't think Nick's on there. He called me this morning and asked, and I said, yeah, it would be. So, I think it should be opened up again. I think it should be on the agenda. He asked for it, and if he wouldn't have had jury duty, he would have been here. So that's my opinion. But that's up to you guys.
I'd make a motion to approve it the way it is.
Okay.
Keep it at 9 o'clock.
Motion on the agenda by Mike Schulte. Further discussion on the agenda? Okay, all those in favor of the agenda, signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Aye. The minutes would be next to be considered. This would be from the special meeting on Friday, August 16th.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Warren, motion for approval of the minutes.
Support.
Helmers, any further discussion on August 16 minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Next, look at September schedule. The 10th and the 24th would be regular meeting days. We will want to identify the 3rd as we've addressed and set that as a public hearing for bonding for the Tyler Avenue project. So I would look for a motion on the 3rd, the 10th, and the 24th, unless there are other items.
What about the 17th and 30th? We just approved a preliminary official statement resolution provided by Don Council. Set that up.
Okay.
And then the 30th. Special meeting.
thirtieth, too.
How you taking it?
Okay.
Make a motion on third, 10th, 17th, 24th, and the 30th.
Okay,
What was the 30th for?
special meeting, bond sale and award.
What was the 17th for?
By approving the preliminary official statement. Timeline in here. Back it there.
Time-wise, we can't combine that with anything else. Just ask.
Yeah, I know. You know, 24th, so we pay claims on the 10th and 24th, that's kind of hard to, the 30th seems a little late to pay claims, but if you wanted to, we could probably postpone claims till the 30th. Yeah, I know, yeah, I agree.
I don't think that'd be good.
Motion for the 3rd, the 10th, 17th, 24th, and the 30th. Number of those days identified by Superior Financial concerning the bond issuance. Who supports that? Hearing no support, do we have a motion to approve the September schedule? Maybe on limited occasions, maybe back, I would support that motion to schedule if the chair may be allowed to support a motion.
I did it one time.
Not making a motion, but support is, I don't want to use another county, especially where there's only two supervisors.
Okay.
I will offer my support to that motion of the 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, and 30th. Further discussion concerning those dates? None, all those in favor, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. As provided to us, a North Dakota Regional Housing Trust Fund letter. For approval of that item.
Just sit here like that, isn't it? I'll make a motion to approve.
Jones, support by Mr. Helmers to approve the Regional Housing Trust Fund's approved letter and funds that accompany it. Further discussion? All those in favor, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. 1920 budget amendment public hearing date.
We could put it the 24th, that'll give us time to.
Looking at September 24th as a date for a budget amendment, public hearing. Provide the items that will need to be included.
Main thing is Tyler Avenue Road, because we don't have enough money budgeted to receive the bond proceeds. That's what it's coming.
Gaining on what
Yeah.
we spent.
What date did you have?
September 24th, that would work.
What time on the 24th?
Open, so just come in 9 o'clock.
We have a motion to set a public hearing for a budget amendments on September 24th. Motion. Or offer support to that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. ATVs and county roads take more than the next 4 minutes, I think. Wait for 9 o'clock, right?
Nick, are you around, or are you gonna come to the meeting or not? Oh, I thought I saw your pickup out here, so. Well, we're gonna talk about it in about 2 minutes, so. Oh, all right. So I just convey what you told, what we talked about this morning? Yeah. Yep. 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 Okay, we'll talk about it, thanks. Nick, not able to be here, so.
Why, I was gonna bounce.
Then you have another.
Yeah, then you can have it. Did you look at that interest plan, too, because I figured out to do that online? I don't either.
Well, our guys do it anyway, so I'm not gonna mess with it. I mean, Smithfield has a man who does it for me, so,
Well, they do.
so,
Even the yearly one?
yeah. Yeah. They do it all, so.
You just sign the check.
Well, they do it for nothing, and just sign a check for the yearly fee,
Yeah.
but they don't charge me anything.
Yeah. And my big one, CFE does it, and then they'll charge me for it, so sign the check.
You know, charge you, what, just sign the check.
Well, they got fees for everything.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you got, to submit it, you got so much per annum, you know,
Yeah.
so many dollars, so.
What's on that new one up in the L 40 up there? Mark and I read it,
And who's putting that up?
that's a big one.
Oh, that's what I was doing the other day, but I forgot about the meeting here.
Oh,
Yeah,
thought maybe you had your daughter's wedding that, wasn't it that day or that weekend or
That
something?
weekend, yeah. Two things done at once, so.
could've used you,
What?
could've used you here.
Sure call. I'd talk to you right now, though.
I didn't come either, so I was on the phone.
No, I got a nasty letter email, because I forgot about it.
Yeah, I've already, Smithfield always sends it to us, and I had to run into the courthouse and you have to sign them, and sometimes they'll land on my desk and they just covered up with other stuff.
Yeah.
I forget about that, they don't. Yeah, they always got it.
Yeah, they've always been good about it. I forget just like every year.
I always take my hand on it, so.
Oh, I did too, because I had to go to Spirit Lake anyway, so. I don't know where.
If you don't pay a penalty, then
I suppose if
You waited too long, I
you
suppose.
didn't turn it in for a month or 6
Yeah.
days, I'm not sure. Most I've ever been is a couple weeks late. Usually at about week 9 or 10, they send me a letter and,
Yeah.
And remind you,
you know,
I tried to figure out how to do it online. That's a joke.
you know me in computers, I don't even attempt that. A lot of happens,
online stuff is for the younger generation.
And I think once you got it set up,
chuckle, I don't know about that.
I think once you got it set up on a computer, it'll be fine.
Yeah, to get there. Is it a light doing it?
I suppose they're in my courtroom and
Oh, that's what it does.
lots of people.
Yeah, on cars.
Yeah.
Are they picking trees, or are they,
I think 60 of them were today, off the trees.
I illegally parked.
You did?
I did too.
They always have their, court on Tuesdays.
One trial, they changed, it used to be Fridays, and then they changed it, so they're not here on Fridays anymore, it's usually Monday or Tuesday. But when a trial starts,
I didn't think they could have them.
So say Stephanie says, I wish you guys did that, your meeting on Tuesdays.
yeah, I'll come in and do that.
No, that's it. We had it before you did.
Our own on the side of the rock is then replaced for the price that we got.
We had a discussion for everyone to be here, so we begin with.
Here's John's issue, and here's my own issue. Unless you look at that and go out and look at it, even those pictures don't do it justice. The issue is, there's probably a 40-foot bank there, probably at least 40 feet. If you just tear that out, put a new culvert in, you're gonna have erosion issues when you get a 5 or 6 inch rain. Here, John, sit down, explain it.
You got a 10-minute
Yep.
break here?
So, and it takes water, I mean, it's a gully there, and I'm afraid you're gonna get erosion problems, aren't you? I personally think if we're gonna do it, then we should go with a high bid and do it right. And I don't wanna spend any money, but if you're gonna tear it out of there, then you need to fix it right. Because otherwise, you're gonna have erosion issues. John, your 2 cents.
Just what I've seen of it, it's been stable all summer. You know, we've had a lot of rain, it hasn't changed all summer. I just feel you just fill that hole with clay and kind of shape a little crown on it so the water runs off. I don't think there'll be an issue. But it sure would be easy to, I think the bottom side of that crack could sure be tucked in with some cement, and it would be good to tuck some cement on the top side too. But I just can't, it's stable, it's not moving. I think that crack's been there for decades. I just don't see any reason to spend money on it and tear the whole area up. I think you'll end up with quite a mess if you start tearing into that.
Well, from talking to the assistant county engineer and Michael Connor's down there right now, they both looked at it and said that they'd replace it.
Did they go out and physically look at it?
You know, they looked at the pictures that we
Well,
had there.
that doesn't do it justice yet. Yeah, if that culvert was across one of our county roads, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I'm gonna spend a couple $1,000 to have somebody come in, dig around it, slap in some cement, patch it, or $5,000 to just replace it and be done with it.
And then you're gonna have, we're setting ourselves up for a big problem.
I'm sure they'll do some mitigation for erosion. I mean, it's no different than anything else when you do a construction project. You have to put down netting and stuff.
That isn't in on his bid. On Petey's bid, it's not in on it.
You're saying a couple thousand, I'm saying $100. I mean, it's a half-hour work with a payloader to dump some dirt in it, pack it down good.
You're not getting anybody out there with a payloader for a couple $100.
Yep. Guarantee I can get it done for nothing. I can get that hole filled in for nothing. In fact,
It's a half-hour job.
if it took me to take my stuff out there, I'd do it for nothing.
As deep as that tile is, how is it a half-hour job to get to the top of it and patch it?
Because to do it right,
Send someone in, I can't imagine the liability.
You guys, I'm quitting talking about it, because you gotta look at it. Don't you, John?
You can't assume I didn't, I did.
You went out and physically looked at it.
Yes,
You physically looked at it. You saw.
I didn't crawl into the tile, but I
You
don't
saw
think I
how
should
steep
spend
the
any
sides
money.
are.
Yes.
And you think just digging that whole thing out of there and putting dirt back in there is the way to go?
I don't know how you get to the top of the problem area
Fill the
without.
damn hole in. Fill the hole in.
Yeah, I think,
but to do it right, you're gonna have to dig down through the top of it and encase that gap with cement.
John's not talking about digging it up, are you, John?
no, just, you know, take a loader or a small loader and there's a clay bank right beside it.
But the proper way to fix that separation, in short of replacing that, is to dig down to the top of that, dig out around it, and then pour in the cement around that separation. Was what does that downstairs in the engineer's office. And you're not getting that done
No,
for,
that'd be a ridiculous amount of money, yeah.
so it'd be cheaper just to tear it out. But if you're gonna do it right.
If we were to just fill it in, and if the same thing occurred again, I think we're at increased liability because what we just tried to, we didn't proceed with the manner that we've already said sounded like a good option.
I talked with Nick this morning about it, and he told me to, he said, if we are gonna do it, he said his recommendation, not saying Petey's bid was to dig the culvert up, put a culvert in, Petey, he bid it. But he said, to do it right, you need to go with the high bid, that's what Nick told me. And then rip wrap it, put whatever they call that stuff down to hold the bank. Because it's not gonna stay there, is it, John?
Yeah, that's steep, and, well, I don't see how you can get, you're gonna have to tear out a lot of trees and to get in there to work on it. To me, yeah, you say to dig down, just in case it was cement, can't you just dig out a little bit from inside and pack in some Sackcrete?
I'm not an engineer, but what the engineer told me is you'd have to dig down to the top, expose around it, and in case it was cement. I don't know how you could do that from the inside.
Well, you can just little hand tools, just trowel and dig out a 4-inch crack around it and pack it in with cement.
Whereas these guys, they ain't gonna change their mind, John, so there's no sense talking about it, so.
I just don't see any reason to.
We're setting ourselves up for some major headaches down the road. That's what
Yeah,
I think that outcome is equally possible and likely with.
No, I don't.
And that's where we disagree. But I don't think it's fair to say only one side sets up a potential trouble.
So I don't see any downside in just patching it and see what happens. It hasn't changed all summer with it open. If you put a crown of clay and crown so the water goes off,
But you're gonna have people drive on the top of that, I don't know how you're gonna keep that crown there.
And your pictures show, I'm sorry,
there's really no traffic or very little, if anything.
There's enough where the grass is growing in those tracks. But like, if you're gonna pack it down with clay, I don't know how you're gonna keep that crown there with people driving on it.
your pictures show tile separation. So you're going to have erosion, you're gonna have issues with when water does flow through there at higher capacity. So just filling the top, I think you're still exposing yourself to potential trouble from inside.
You mean if the tile's running full? Or, I don't understand.
Whichever portions are shown to be separated, I don't know that you can get it, I have a hard time believing, especially in light of the engineers saying replace it, they're getting in there and trying to surface address it.
Aaron went and
Plus, I
looked
just
at it.
really don't like Kitty sending someone in there. I can't imagine what our liability is and what.
When Aaron went and looked at it, he was at the last meeting, and his recommendation was to replace it as well. So,
Just sounds like an awful lot of money for something that's a waste area almost.
well, to do it properly, like you're saying, it's gonna be a couple $1,000 to dig down, slap some cement around it. Because there's no point in doing it incorrect. I mean, you wanna do it the most sound engineering practices, and according to the engineer that's downstairs right now, that would be the way you would go about doing it. That's the right way to fix it, short of ripping that out and replacing it.
But he's never seen it. He's never looked at it. There's more of an issue than just the tile. Nick, am I right?
As far as like
We
the,
talked about it this morning, you said,
like the erosion and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
If it's not done right, it's gonna create more issues. I 100% believe that.
Why would you assume it's not gonna get done right?
because we need the bank stabilized and all that.
But
And I really don't believe the bid that he had that in.
I mean, that would just be
I mean,
common sense.
Jepson's bid actually had all that stuff listed.
The other one didn't.
Nope.
So I'm, just, it's
I
assuming that,
I guess my point is, I just don't see any downside in just patching it and seeing what happens over the next 5-10 years. Just wait and see what happens. I really don't think it's gonna, I think just filling it in will fix the problem.
well, the problem with postponing these things is they get more expensive later down the road.
Okay, yeah, but here we go, and I've driven that, and you can tell me if I'm right, Nick, you tell me. There are holes all the way along that rail in places, not to this extent, but there are holes several places. So, are we gonna patch every hole in every culvert along our whole stretch? Because you're gonna have issues like this on the whole thing. How many dollars are you gonna spend on this?
Sorry guys, I gotta go back to jury duty.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Nick, are there holes? There's places all over on that trail.
There's holes, I don't know that they're pipe separation holes,
But,
but yes, I mean, there's critters that have been digging in it.
well, I stopped at one and there's another one starting.
Another pipe separation someplace.
Well, I don't know if the pipe's separated, but there's a hole above a culvert. So how are we?
Oh, really?
I'm talking this.
Yeah.
John brought it to me, I brought it in front of him, we voted on it, so I just wanted on record that I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's, if we don't do that back in there correctly, we'll have more issues than we do that hole, that's my opinion.
I mean, it's basic repair work, and I would assume that they know what they're doing, they know how to stabilize the banks when they're done finishing the work.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
I don't think that they would just throw it in a bunch of loose dirt and not pack it in.
Will you impress upon the contractor that the board expects bank stabilization? It's a reasonable expectation for banks of that nature.
I mean, they wouldn't put it back and just leave a big divot there with loose dirt to just run off after they got finished.
I hope not.
Like I said, it wasn't in the other bid either, and that was twice as much, so I would assume that they would be able to do the work the same as everybody else.
I just can't see how you're gonna establish all the trees and everything that are in there, I mean, you're talking a lot of tearing up back there to get that kelp culvert out of there. And, that's my opinion,
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like a motion, we could go with John's recommendation and just wait, fill it in and see what happens, but that's not gonna get seconded, so.
Wait for Mike to get back.
I understand that approach, what I expressed to Nick concerning that is, okay, if this was caused by the tile separation, if we just fill it in, and it happens again, and it's one of the more scenic areas of the trail, there's a higher likelihood that you're looking around at what's around as you're using that portion, and now you've hit a hole that was once filled in, because that should take care of it. I think we've exposed ourselves to
And I try to get the other way too, what if you get erosion and somebody's looking in the side of the bank and it's only 4 foot wide and they're looking at the scenery and falling off the side and over side by side. We can debate that all day.
we would rely on the advice of the engineer to replace it versus
I'm not an engineer, and I'm supposed to get paid for it.
But neither one of those guys looked at it.
They know where it is. Aaron looked at it, and that was his recommendation.
I disagree, I'm not gonna change my mind, so whatever.
Is anyone interested in offering support to the motion to step back from our previous decision, fill in the hole and wait? I would have concerns that, having already told the contractor that we approved that there might be tile to purchase that we would be liable for to some extent, or, I don't know. Things we find out.
wire would we do for bank stabilization? Are we gonna put riprap down, are we gonna seed it, are we gonna put a blanket down, how are we gonna control it? What is our recommendation gonna be?
We'll have to ask Boston what he was gonna do for bank stabilization.
Guys, in my opinion, if I can speak, it's gonna have to be rock. I don't think there's.
That ain't, it's just good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to get around doing the rock, just due to the severity of the slope and the nature of where it's at and no
I didn't see
sunlight.
rock in that other bid either.
I don't see there's any way around having the rock, and I think most of it right now is all railroad ballast. And the vegetation that's there, I mean, there's trees there, which are helpful because of the stumps and everything, but most of the stuff that grows up in the side is annual weeds.
When I look at the amount of money we spent cleaning up Willow Creek, I think this is a pretty small fix for $5,000 for recreation for the folks in the county.
If it's done right.
So that thing was drained 3 times.
What's that?
That thing was drained 3 times.
We don't get it, you said it yourself, we don't need to repeat mistakes.
Yep, and this is why I don't wanna keep doing something not to the specs that it needs to be done. But that's my opinion.
Not to add to your motion, we've got a motion from Schulte that would include rescinding the previous approval and to take the approach of filling in the hole and waiting to see if that would cover it. Is that fair? I mean, I think
That's my motion,
important to
not
include.
Mike's motion.
Yeah, sure, but I'm thinking it's important to include the rescind of the previous approval with it. Waiting support. I guess I will declare it as died for lack of a second. Further? Move up to our.
You will check and see if he's gonna,
Yeah, I'll call him. No, I won't relay the information. Have a good day.
Yep. Amen. Start with a brief recap of what was discussed at ISAC annual conference concerning ATVs. We waited to keep all together. Keep it all together. Is anyone opposed to starting our 9:30 item at this point? No. Try to be out, we're going to have visitors for 9:30. Everyone's okay with that? Would you mind starting, Mr. Reed?
No, I'm fine. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Jim.
Three items I want to talk to you about this morning is that one is just, the first one is just give you updates about things that have been doing and things that have been put together for the county. Two is talk to you about, revising the employee handbook that have been, I think you have that information, been working with Rochelle, on that for the last few months. And then the third item is, I'll just talk to you about, the IMCA is whatever his title is, Scott. Yeah, anyhow, safety rep or whatever his title is, and he made a suggestion, when he was here last about, that you might be best served by having a safety manual, and I'll talk about that. I brought you one that we did for another county, and I'll pass it out, and I'll leave it with you, okay? Back to number one on the updates is that, we're still updating, job descriptions in various departments, haven't got through them all yet. Also trying to find out whether or not the people that we did job descriptions for, the departments, whether they've
signed, I got those signed and turned into the auditor. There's a few things going on in the law changes out there that we send out, what we call a blast email goes out to all of our clients to just make them aware of it. It's not, the main one dealt with a law that they passed in 2017 dealing with a notification to employees that you're dealing with discharge or termination. I don't have that issue in Osceola County because most all of the departments that are dealing with that will call me. It's just that it's when I have a department who enters into that area without calling me and then they don't know what the law is. So sending out some blast emails, that was one of them that was included in there. We're monitoring the Department of Labor right now because it's forecasted that they're gonna make some changes in the way that part-time people receive overtime, to be continued there. Another thing is that, and I spoke to Rochelle last week about this, I think, is that, we have a model application for employment that we recommend everybody use because, it's been reviewed by the legal counsel that I use and so forth. We have revised that. We're gonna send out a revised copy on that, basically to have a larger section to deal with veterans' preference, okay? There's been some issues about employees that were veterans who put in an application and they thought that automatically entitled them to veterans' preference. That's not true. They're required to submit a form that they are claiming veterans' preference when they apply for a position. And we're, continuing to work on a few employee issues that are out there. But basically, that's kind of the general overview of things we're doing. If you have questions about any of those areas, I'll try to answer them for you. If not, I'll move on to the employee handbook suggested changes. If you've had time to look at this, I'll be happy to answer your questions. I think that what the effort was here is to remove some areas that really aren't applicable nowadays, and the other is to make like the health insurance in sync with the Affordable Care Act and the regulations and requirements that are on there about regarding insurance. The other part about that is that I know that you have like one or two people, right, Rochelle, that are under this system that you've had in the past. That's a little different than the Affordable Care Act. And there's nothing wrong if you decide to make these changes and grandfather those people, let them stay where they're at, okay? There's nothing wrong with doing that if you decide to do that so that you don't have to take anything away from anybody, all right? Some of the other language changes in here, they kind of coincide with the other areas, updating. I'm happy to answer any questions you got, but we took out and I had to visit with Rochelle and some other people about the permanent part-time. I guess there isn't such a thing as permanent part-time. You don't have that. So we eliminated that. We also eliminated that language in other parts in here. And again, a lot of the changes, adjustments, or deletions we've made were to put everything in sync with the Affordable Care Act when it comes to insurance and designation of employees. Took out permanent throughout here in a lot of areas. I'm racing through this, I know, but you can stop me if you got a question, okay?
I think this looks pretty good. Where did we come down on elected officials?
For insurance?
Yeah.
Elected officials, by virtue of their office, are entitled to the county's insurance program.
Technically, by code, the auditor has to be there 1 day a week, a month or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty minimal, but you really don't have to put in 40 hours, so.
And the same
We're
for
not
the board.
monitoring that.
Right. And the same for the board. The board has a minuscule amount of time that just qualifies you, and everybody qualifies, and so then by virtue of your office elected official and meeting that minimum, you're entitled to the insurance, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, if you have questions, just stop me, but like on, this is under, 9.4, and the page after, the next page, just above 9.5, there you'll see, we took out permanent there, adjusted that language, and then at the bottom of there, we took out the thing about other part-time. Other part-time is kind of like confusing, and other part-time is seasonal employees, and so we're just saying seasonal employees instead of other part-time, which have to be subject to interpretation, okay? So we're trying to eliminate those gray areas, in going through here. You see I have a question down there, I don't know if we talked about this, Rochelle, about funeral leave. I'm assuming that regardless of whether you're full-time, part-time, or seasonal, you're entitled to funeral leave. If that's not accurate, you can let me know, but I'm assuming that, is it?
I would assume,
Okay.
I would assume that too.
Okay. Under 5.4 here, made some wholesale changes in the work comp language because well, there was some wholesale changes in the work comp law in 2017, and the process that you follow of being under IMWCA and company nurse, we wanted to make sure that that process was at least clear in the handbook, and hopefully the employees read that and it is clear to them as well. So we modified this language to emphasize that they need to report the injury immediately, and that they need to call company nurse as soon as possible. You know, if you're not able to call a company nurse because of the injury, then, you know, you take that into consideration. But for the most part, probably 90% of the injuries that happen in counties, they call company nurse, and then company nurse, you know, generates a report, and then that report goes back to the county. You get that, Rochelle? You get a copy of that?
I don't,
But just available for a current insurance provider, do we need to identify that, or?
Well,
If that would change, we wouldn't be able to likely change the handbook as quickly as that decision gets made and the transition to a different insurer.
yeah, I
Should that
mean,
be included?
it's important that if you're gonna be with IMWCA and they use company nurse, that the process is in place because you haven't always used them, correct? And the other thing is that the normal process is that the employee calls company nurse. All they are is a call center, and they fill out the information about the injury and the report. They send that to IMWCA, and normally they're sending that back to the county.
I don't know, I get every notification, you know, when everybody calls in, I think I get, somebody calls a claim, of course, I get one.
Yeah, they're almost, I think it's their procedure that they send that back to the employer and send it back to the county. I don't, you know, so maybe you haven't had any, but if you have had, somebody here should be getting that report. Because the thing is about that report that they make is that when it's a work comp situation, it doesn't totally fall under HIPAA protection, so it's not confidential, okay? When it comes to the injury itself. Now, when it gets outside of the injury, if you haven't heard me say this before, when it gets outside of the injury, that information may be confidential, okay? We can talk about that some more, okay? And, see what's going on there.
My thought is just in that second where we're requiring that they must call company nurse, we
Mhm.
want to just say also, while the county is covered by MWCA, is what you call company nurse.
We can. I mean, I don't know that the employee cares whether it's IMWCA, they just care about what the process is.
I guess I'm not familiar, is company nurse available outside of utilizing IMWCA?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if they work for other companies or not. I'm not sure. I've only known them to work for public sector employers.
We never had it before the previous.
Yeah, but they're hand in hand with IMWCA. If you use IMWCA, they require you to use company nurse as a processing center for the injury.
Should we have a sheet, okay, when they report to their supervisor, that we hand them a sheet with the phone number and everything on it?
I think
They recall.
Mike, I think the department should have it posted about injuries. I think they should have, on wherever their bulletin board or the county sheds or wherever, I think they should have it posted about injuries to say, you're injured, you know, you need to contact your supervisor immediately, you need to call company nurse. I mean, that's all they're required to do at that point.
I was thinking of the phone number, that we could change that, say we change the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Then the phone number could be changed at that time.
Yeah, we can make that adjustment, that's pretty minor if you decide to change insurance companies. And I don't know the answer to that, Jason, I don't know if they work for other people or not, I don't know.
So these adjustments in the handbook are gonna have to be approved by every department and every other board, correct? Not adjustments like this.
You mean these things? No, what we have to do is that, you know, the other departments, you can send this out to the other departments for review and input. But they don't have to approve it, you folks are the people that approve the changes. It's set out in the handbook, it's stated that.
Something like the other boards that are giving approval.
The other boards, if they are following the county's handbook, yeah, they should probably see this. What I'm planning to do, given the totality of changes that are here, is just to rewrite the handbook, because it's because the amount that's here, and the other part is that what we do over time is when there are things we gather that are new items or adjustments to the handbook, we will keep them in a file. And then because typically every third year we do a full review of an employer's handbook, and then we make those adjustments then. Because of this, we were gonna rewrite it and just make all those adjustments now, and save having to do that again later, okay? And those are at the end of here. So that's our plan. And then that way, yeah, it would go out to the other boards for them to sign off. And you have that form, Rochelle, where they sign off, do you have that? You have it, right?
Yeah, and for every employee that they received it in red.
No, the one that the other boards sign off on and say that they're gonna follow this, do you have that form? If you don't, let me know.
Barb might have.
Okay, all right, you may, I mean,
Yeah.
I know I send you too much stuff, right? But anyhow, yeah, there's a form that the other boards should sign off, if they're gonna follow this, so that, you know, like conservation, you know, public health, and those people, so there's a sign off sheet, okay? The job injury part on the last page there, you know, we just kind of cleaned that up so that, I think it's more clear than what was there before. I will tell you that, because that different departments, don't deal with work comp injury a lot, there's a lot of misunderstanding about this area here, about what they do and when they do and all that sort of thing. And I've visited with Rochelle about this. I can tell you that what they do is exactly the right way to do it. There are times where that I learn after I've been providing service to somebody for a while, all of a sudden they tell me, oh, well, we didn't tell you, we don't do that. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So, yeah. Anyhow, that happens, but nevertheless, it's just so you know, you're on the right track here, you do this the right way, you know, an employee can get a supplemental check so that it brings from whatever he's getting from IMWCA up to his or her regular pay, and you send out a supplemental check, and that's for accrued leave time, and then it's taxed, and retirement gets taken out, but that's how it works, okay? As long as they have accrued leave time to use, okay? So, workplace technology is one of actually another change. It's not on your sheet here. That's something new that we have, but it's for the disciplinary, and I'll get that to you, Rochelle. But the workplace technology is something that we added to that section, which is already pretty lengthy, but at the same time this area of workplace technology of employees who have a computer or other county equipment And misuse of those is a big deal, folks. I won't go into all the stories, it's just, I tell you, it's a big deal. Employees are putting personal items and stuff on their computer, taking up an enormous amount of space and storage. Not good.
That's gonna change here.
So you may just wanna keep track of that. Having the picture of their kids on their face page, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about storing a ton of stuff on there, or, other things on there, and then they need to know that they can't be promoting political causes off of the county computer. So, yeah, those type of things. So we're just expanding the list there and make sure we kinda got the bases covered in case that you ever run into those situations. Hopefully you don't. Questions?
Say if you would find somebody with a bunch of pictures or something on there, could you just delete them without telling them?
Say again, Mike?
Say if you found somebody that had a bunch of pictures or whatever on there, could you just delete them without telling them?
You can, because you'll see in this section in your handbook it says that anybody using a county computer or any other electronic equipment has no right to privacy. That's your property as a county, it's your property. Whatever's on there is your property. That's been upheld, so, yeah. I would just, if you come across that, I'd just tell them, you need to get that off of there. Okay. But you don't have to make a decision about this today, if you don't want. We can look this over some more if you want, but, this is kind of where that we've kind of collectively have come to adjustments that we think needs to be made to make things better, more clear, concise, and handled. If you just tell me, because basically, if you tell me the consensus is you're comfortable with these changes, then what we'll do is move forward with redoing the handbook itself, and just make all those changes, and then create a draft of that, and then bring it back to you.
I'm comfortable with it. I think it looks good. I would like to see a reference to our current provider on the
Okay,
company
sure.
nurse thing.
No problem.
And I think the rest stands, even if we switched, that requirement to call company nurse just wouldn't be there.
Okay.
Later at that point.
Can do that. Yeah, if we start into the handbook and we make these changes in there, we designate it in there, because it's actually, it's a draft at that point, and then you can send that out to the other department heads to look at that point, and let them have input. These areas of change will be designated the same way in there, so they can provide you input on that and know what's happening, and then at that point, if they have questions or comments, we'll all entertain those, and then after that process is done, and they've had a chance to look at it and provide input to you, we'll create a final document for you.
I know some questions that there is on providing proof of auto insurance, private auto insurance. Is that in the handbook?
No, that's in the job description.
Requirement from the insurer and it's part of the job description?
It's in the job description, and quite frankly, as I told Rochelle, I know she's been having an issue with one department with that, but that's in every county job description that we write. Matter of fact is that the driver's license, if you're required to have a driver's license to come to work, okay, and that's not confidential information. You're also, if you have a license, are required by law to have insurance. It's not private information, but some people think it is. I told her, don't have a lot of heartburn over that, But that's the thing is, the other thing that I told, and the engineer called me and asked me about that, and I said, do you require these people to have a CDL? Yeah. Okay, so then they go to work, how do you know they got a CDL? He says, good point. I said, yeah, exactly. they tell you they got a CDL and they go to work, and they don't have, maybe they don't have the right CDL with, with the endorsements. It says, how do you know they have, how do you know they have the air freight endorsement if you haven't seen it? I got it, he says. Exactly. There are also cases where if an employee is required to have a license, and somehow something happens and they don't have insurance anymore, they'll take their license, they're just, it's invalid, but at the same time, then you've got somebody out there driving who's not insured. Those are the reasons why that we put that on the job description, that they need to, provide proof that they have a valid driver's license, required to have it, R or CDL, and provide proof of insurance, and all that's as simple as, show us a copy or whatever. I mean, it's not that big a deal, but they're making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. I'm in the process that, my job is to prevent liabilities for the county, or eliminate them, and that's kind of an area there. If you got somebody out there driving, county equipment or vehicle, and they don't have a license, or they don't have the proper license, or they don't have insurance, guess who's liable? So, I just told Rochelle, I said, well, and make a bigger deal out of it than what it is, and, I kind of press the issue, and they seem to have a lot of heartburn over it, it's only in one place, so. But, I don't think it's worth having a battle over, but I think that they should show that they got a license, and they should show they got insurance, but anyhow, so. Other than that is that, if you're comfortable with this language, it's not set in stone, I'll make this adjustment, then as I said, we'll move forward and redo the handbook, create a draft so you can send it out to all the departments with the changes in it, and then look at it.
With insurance, mine comes due every 6 months. Am I supposed to come up every 6 months and give them a copy of that?
Of the insurance? Usually, most places are asking to show it once a year, but there's nearly no set process for that. They just ask them, I think, on their anniversary date. Some people have them come in and show license and proof of insurance.
I don't care, but I'm just curious.
I think they suppose you should be. Didn't you say the wording is that it's an employee's responsibility to provide that verification, so one that's no longer in coverage doesn't show proof of coverage.
You can have a big file.
So this language will continue to proceed to a final handbook.
Okay, we'll do that.
I'll just share again, you reference it, but I guess I don't want to see an employee lose coverage they have, whether it was dispersed properly or whatever. I struggle with phone coverages, so I would like to see that grandfathering option when we get to that point.
I think you can write that in the resolution.
Yeah, this is part of that.
That, that this handbook is effective, whatever, and anybody that was covered under the previous program in respect to insurance will remain under that, and then this takes over from here on.
I have a question. I saw in the news this morning that Minnesota passed, for recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
How are you gonna do that if you have 0 tolerance?
Good question.
How's that? I don't know, I'm just thinking of the future.
Passed yet, did it?
The way it sounded, the governor said, get ready for it, that it will pass.
Republican.
But I was just wondering, how are we gonna, if that's what for a drug test to get the job?
I think that, that is one of the outstanding questions right now that I think that the ISAC legal department is kind of wrestling with, because I'm not sure.
I'm just curious, how can you refuse them?
Like I know in Colorado, for my dad has employees that he hires there, along with everybody else, if you have federal government contracts or anything like that, you can still determine the workplace rules, which include no use of marijuana.
But you can still.
Yes, you can still say that that's part of the job, because if I got a courier out driving all day dropping things off, certainly don't want them under the influence of anything.
Yeah.
So part of the requirement for those couriers is they can't use, and they have to pass a drug test. Even though it is legal in the state, the workplace can still set the rules for the requirements of employment. So like, my brother-in-law works for the state installed jail systems and stuff throughout the country, but based out of Colorado, it's legal there, but as an employee, you can't have access to that stuff.
Yeah, I was just curious when I saw that this morning, how that was gonna play out.
That's kind of a legal opinion area, and I stay away from those, because I'm not an attorney. But I do know that the question has been raised with ISAC and the legal department. I haven't seen it put anything on yet, so I would assume that, because what Ed said is, you have the right to set work rules and conditions that employers would have those rights.
And you can pick hair length, all the rest of that stuff, as in terms of employment.
So it's long.
Well, yeah, you have to have long hair, huh?
On the IMWCA,
Yeah, I just plan to leave this with you folks. Look, here's the thing. You want me to create a safety manual, I can do that. We do it for some of our counties, all of our counties don't have a safety manual. If you want one, I'm happy to do this. The one that I'm gonna leave you with today is, don't get blown away, I brought you the Cadillac model, okay? You won't see that the county that we did this for, and I plugged in your county in here, but the county we did this for, they have a person that an employee that their part-time job's to be the safety administrative person, okay? And this person, like, is gung-ho, I'll just tell you that. I mean, he lives this stuff. But anyhow, this one, you'll see that it's several pages long. We have safety manuals that are 2 or 3 pages. These people are big on committees, you'll see that. They have their own safety committee. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm just saying you don't have to do all of this if you don't want. But this is, I just brought you the top model, okay? And look at it at your leisure and let me know, what you wanna do. If you wanna see a downsized model, I can do that. This won't all probably fit Osceola County right now, okay? But you can do whatever we want with it. I mean, he made this suggestion, right, Rochelle, that
He did,
was one of his recommendations, right?
yes, it was.
Yeah.
does it need to be countywide, or I think it'd be better served as departmental safety approach, because they're.
Well, it's,
departments, but.
all the safety manuals we do are countywide. And it's because they're all under IMWCA, but.
Personally, I would like to see something that's maybe 2 pages at the most. Because a lot of people actually sit there and read about so long, you're out to lunch anyway.
Yeah, the safety manual is one of the things, is just my opinion, is that probably shorter is better.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this thing here can be condensed down a lot, and, basically, there's some things in here that are reiterated out of the employee handbook, such as safety responsibilities on page 2. The safety committee, you could do whatever you want with that. If you want to have a safety committee, if you don't, okay. I don't know that you need to. I don't know whether you have anybody that does accident investigation, unless that's the sheriff's office. I assume they would do that and handle that. This is where I say that this thing could be downsized quite a bit.
Some of these, it goes to interpretation.
Pardon me?
Some of this goes to interpretation.
Yeah, and that too, the Article 4 on temporary light duties, the duplication of the handbook for the most part. Yeah, if you want one and you want the downsized model, I can get that to you. I just wanted to give you something to look at.
The post-job offer for employment physical. Tell me if I'm, that's right. My take on this would be, okay, so we say we've got a position that needs to be able to lift 50 pounds and stand for 4 hours a today. We make the offer, because they applied saying they could do that, and we're in this scenario, they're not fall in the disability category where we would need reasonably accommodation.
Yep.
So, then they go to a post-employment offer physical, and they say, well, they can lift 80% of 50 pounds, and they can stand for 3 hours, then we would have the ability to withdraw that employment option, because I see IMWA, see they then saying when an injury occurs, well, we're not paying full payment because they were only 80% capable, even though they were doing everything assigned to them, because maybe needing to lift 50 pounds hasn't been needed yet at that point, but, so they're restricting what, I just have some concerns with that. I didn't finish that thought very well, but.
Well, that's all right, I know where you're coming from. Let me give you my take on it, okay? Kind of the old school is to put in an amount that they have to lift or an amount they have to carry. I don't do that when we create job descriptions. We label the position by light, medium, heavy, or very heavy. That you're expected to lift the very heavy materials in the area. And you say, well, why do you do that? Which I have engineers who say, well, why do you do that? I say, well, because the world has kind of changed in respect to discrimination, all right? So, here's how it works. You put in there that you have to carry 50 pounds and whatever, and you hire 20 or 30-year-old people, and they can all do that, okay? And then you get around, you have people that are 50, 60 years old working for you, can they do that? Then they can't meet their job description, and more than likely, they can't do that. So when you put in an amount, you're tied to that amount. Okay, so now here's the deal, is you have a young person, and you hire that person, and they can lift 50 pounds pretty easy, move around, and then they get hurt, and then they gotta come back to work, but the doctor says they can only lift 40 pounds, and then you say to them, well, you can't lift the 50 pounds, you can't come back to work. And they say to you is, I don't think that John, Bill, and Bob out here can lift that much. What are you doing with them? You see where that goes? That's one of those liability areas that's why we don't put in amounts anymore. Probably would tell you to get away from that if you can.
He explained it to me that if you did this post-employment, if he had somebody that had like a shoulder surgery in their 20s, and they're only at 80% usage, that they got hurt, we would only have to give them back for the 80%, not the 100%. For his, for the shoulders, it would just protect the county, that we wouldn't have to give them back to the full 100% if they had only 80% usage.
Yeah.
That's how he explained it.
It is, it's right, but, like I say, the thing is that, okay, if you set a hard, fast rule for that, and they're all capable, and they don't have a restriction, then they all do it. And they all do it when they get to be older. And then, so, it's a two-way age discrimination thing that happens with that. I just think that, and my legal counsel thinks that you're better off by not designating this an amount when you do. When we've done the job descriptions for secondary roads, we didn't put in an amount. We just, based on the work that they do, we will decide what category they fall in.
Jack, I hate paperwork, and I agree with Mike to a certain extent, but after being on the elevator board, more is better if you have an OSHA.
Right.
I mean, so do we wanna go less?
As far as designating,
Well, like this thing, I mean, do you wanna have,
oh,
you want a shorter version, or do you wanna keep all this in there and cover all your bases?
I think that, here's what I think, Jerry, I think that you can cover all the bases and you don't have to have all of this.
Okay.
That's what I know what you're saying, but I just think that, remember, some of this is already covered in the handbook.
Okay.
I think that you can get by, probably the mainstream one, safety manual that we've done for counties is not more than about 3 pages. And it covers the bases. There's only certain things you need to tell them is, what your responsibilities are, what you're supposed to do, in a safe and responsible manner, what you do when you get hurt, and basically, how follow through with that. I mean, this thing about, you know, I mean, you can have, like I said, you can have a committee if you want. I'm not sure, not all my counties have committees. I don't know if you want, if you do that, fine, if you wanna do that. But I mean, they have a committee meeting every month. I'm not sure what they do every month, but, I mean, I never went to them, but they just.
Well, we discuss it at board meetings every month, the safety
Yeah.
things that come up and safety, talk with the safety director, and so, I mean, it's getting to be a big deal.
Well, in their case is, they've used this, and their credit is, this county has used this, and for whatever reason, they've been able to reduce their insurance costs as a result of it. I don't know if that can happen everywhere, it's gonna depend on the circumstance. But to answer your question again is that, you know, I think you can cover the bases with about a 3 or 4 page safety manual. I'd be happy to do
They
that.
always tell us more is better when it comes to OSHA,
Yeah, a little bit of this, I just say that, Jerry, because I think it's overkill. Okay?
I understand.
Okay.
Anything further, gentlemen? Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
You folks have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
ATV. There might be a line.
That's right, yes.
I parked illegal too, so don't feel bad.
You what?
I parked illegal too, so.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm probably more illegal than you are.
Yeah, you might be, because I did see where you
You
parked.
are.
Yeah, you're letting me know get clipped.
But another bend.
You're dang in the driveway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jack. If Kim is here and comes in, go ahead and have her start the voice. When I come back up, we can talk about the ATV thing.
Nick was mad at me.
Who?
Nick, when I left, the Brownies here. We had a meeting, and I, how come you didn't bring them along to the meeting? So I left them like that. So,
They were good, they were gone in no time.
you didn't bring them along? Maybe next meeting I'll have my wife take a pan for you guys. She was in the cook-off in Melbourne at the last second in the dessert category. And I'm not gonna lie, Lindsay doesn't cook a lot, she doesn't even like to cook. But she won.
Oh, good for her.
Her and Allie made upside down apple pie.
It was a nice weekend for all that.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, really good.
That's one good deal at, Fire Hall this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Is it 10:30?
That's fun.
Oh. I was thinking we were going there.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, I wanted an hour, so that's why I didn't have it, so.
What time is it?
That's my fault.
I sent a reminder out, maybe.
It's 2 to 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the fire station.
Yeah.
They're asking me what is that, 2 to 4, I have North South Care Connections this afternoon. I'll try to, so I don't get back or else. Maybe attend the 5 o'clock one that they have open to the public.
That 5 o'clock meeting, that's what you have to do that.
Not see the letter there.
I didn't make it, no, I emailed it, I think.
Yeah, there's the information. Okay, I didn't look at the times very closely. North Iowa Care Connections annual service and budget update is at 10:30 now, Sam. So we can discuss the ATVs on county roads. The ISAC event session was informative and interesting, but considerably different than I expected. I really thought it'd be kind of counties that have done it, counties that haven't, and why, and some back and forth, and pros and cons. The presenters and those involved in the panel were consistently cautioning counties from doing it. I won't say they were negative or harsh on counties that have, they just presented information and concerns as to why they didn't think it was a good idea. The doctor was primarily focused on increased injury and fatalities, and I guess what's kind of hit me in his presentation is when he put up the owner, or the manufacturer's warning that items are not designed for roadways. So that gives some caution to me as to why are we gonna say, yeah, go ahead and use them on roadways when those trying to sell them or manufacturing them don't even tell people that that's where they should go, but I understand liability and all that. And then the other thing he highlighted would be in 3211.10 that if a county or board of supervisors wants to designate roadways, the third sentence there says the county board of supervisors shall evaluate the traffic conditions on all county highways and designate roadways on which all terrain vehicles or off-road utility vehicles may be operated for the specified period without unduly interfering with or constituting undue hazard. When they made ag purposes exempt, I don't see any efforts or where the state themselves made sure that the roads were fit and evaluated and we're not going to create undue traffic. So that really concerns me. I think they're putting us at a higher threshold of liability or expectations. I'm not sure what steps we would take to do that. The gentleman that was presenting the injury data and stuff said he hasn't found any counties that seem to have a good practice or what shows that they've gone to that step. But there were a number of counties that spoke up and said they've approved it, it's been good for them, they don't know why it would be so good.
I guess the thought I had about it, it's been legal in Sioux Falls for how many years? And you really don't hear of any injuries from it.
State of South Dakota.
Yeah.
It's just something one of the babies kind
Yeah.
of treat it the way they should, and should be good.
Yeah, but as far as I know, like, Exton, they haven't had any trouble with that, not that I've heard.
He posted violations or issues, I don't know where he got the numbers, and he just had a fairly significant number for Dickinson County. It surprised me, but I don't know where he got it, and I spoken with their,
Since they seem to go by all the time.
all along, I I think, okay, if they say a certain sector can use our road systems to use these vehicles or these items, I have a hard time saying other sectors shouldn't be allowed to. That's absolutely my baseline. But then when they present these things, that we have to evaluate county roads and this and that, and in light of manufacturers saying, no, these aren't designed for roadways. The definition says that it's a motorized vehicle with not less than 3 and not more than 6 non-highway tires. So they're not designed for tires. I just have more concerns about it than I maybe once did.
I guess I don't have a lot of concerns about it. That's just my thought.
They talk about fees at all, Jason?
No,
What they charge or the highway?
I know this has sections about fees, I think $15 is kind of the
Well, it says something about
general one.
$10 use fee, but I think we can, well, that's stupid, because
Some concern too for neighboring counties that do allow them, and if they have a different policy than what we might set in place, or then how do individuals know that, okay, I can use it here, but it's a little different when I cross that county line. I guess it'd be reasonable to expect the state to set a uniform standard versus each county having different approaches.
I don't know what O'Brien County, what do they charge a fee, but then the cities themselves also charge a fee. Does Sidley charge a fee?
I don't think so, I've never heard of it. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it.
I know, like Howard lives in Hartley, and they gotta pay a county fee, and then they also have to pay a state fee, or a city fee.
Should we ask her?
It actually would be nice if we could actually, if we decide to do this, issue a license plate.
Yeah, this might show. Just a question. On your own train vehicles that you let on the streets and stuff, like, do you have to pay a fee for that?
Well, like it's out the way, you have to regular like a little trailer license, and you just put the trailer.
Just register it.
That's easy for everybody to
Okay,
see. All
that's what I
the
need.
deputies to see.
Thank you.
When you go out there, you don't have one.
Bye.
They'll stop you right away, even though if you have all the stickers, if you don't have a license.
Just register, that's all I have to do.
No fee,
You
no
also
fee.
provide proof of insurance.
You said all I have to do is register. I think there should be some type of fee on it. You know, if we would
I
lower it,
personally do too.
if we could do it.
A snowmobile license. same
What do they
thing.
get for those?
Oh, I guess I can't say for sure. $28, $30?
They can tell you next door.
Maybe ask them.
Yeah. I don't want to say they have the same as smart.
Mine, the first page was just stapled to the back, the first page out, the rest were in order, and
$17.75. Additional for the yearly.
I'm just gonna keep that same, you know.
Would they get sticker with that thing, or would we, is that something we have to implement?
If the code.
How does the city, do they just register, or they register?
She didn't say, just register. It'd almost be like putting a plate on it.
There's gotta be some way they could tell, I mean, register.
Unless that's carry registration with them.
I think most of them just got a sticker, like a road or a snow
Yeah.
road or.
I asked her about those too, but she said that's all different, depending on the size. One of them more stickers. Should know that, shouldn't we?
Most of them are license plate.
Yeah. Well, my bike's older, but I think it's like 18 or 20 bucks or something like that.
It depends, they are motorcycles like $30.
Is that what it is? I'm gonna go ask her for sure.
That's probably the treasurer's office.
Yeah.
Because mine's a 67, so it'd be at the lowest.
Are those based on the value of cars, the plates, motorcycles?
I'm trying to remember what I paid for that darn thing. I think it's like 20 bucks or something.
You guys pay 30 for ours.
Because they went off the value at 67, I don't know, it was worth a whole lot.
They're boats. They don't charge according to the value of their boat, or do they?
Size.
Like,
Size, like,
yeah, that's how it.
they got stickers on them.
By then, for 3 years at a time.
Not every year then.
Pretty soon we'll have to have a sticker on the lawnmower. Somebody's lawnmower, you just go down the street pretty fast.
Don't ride all the time, but they go fast. These all trainers, do they have to have a license for the middle of the highway? Without a license. Oh, no, not highway. State highway. Maybe with county roads, they'd have to have a license, wouldn't they?
$10 or $20, that's all it is. I thought it was more than that too. But see, then that's different over there, because then if you buy one, then they charge you a tax, and ETVs are all over here, she said. So,
But now with the farmer running this down the road, you still have to have driver's license, don't you?
I guess so. What do you mean, like a driver's license, or?
Yeah.
I guess it would tell.
I know I've seen kids run down the road.
Well, I thought, we thought it was 16, but according to code, Jason, it says 12
Yeah,
Really?
in here.
it's all over here.
In this thing, it says 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I read that, yeah, minors under 12. Person under 12 years old shall not operate.
So we're just,
One up, then below that, it says person under the direct supervision and responsibility.
what page do you see that?
10.
But I know, like,
That's how they got messed up when I got.
Oh, geez, I go
I
from 2 to
messed up,
16.
yeah, I messed up.
actually, you know, like when you buy one,
Mine, the front page is on the back. You take the front page off and flip it over, that's what I need to do.
I don't know what I
Sorry.
did, I apologize.
well, I think on, like on,
I'll go one, two.
when you buy one, I think you gotta be 16 according to the manufacturers. I don't know how that works out with the states and the counties. I would say you have to be at least 16, that's my opinion, to have driver's license.
That's why we didn't even have a permit yet.
No, I would stay with the driver's license.
I would too.
I would prefer like 18 if we're gonna use them on roads.
Yeah. Yeah, driver's license 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or 18.
16. Driving to school now, it's
14.
Yeah.
my niece fell back and she's in 8th grade, and she'll start driving.
Yeah, that's crazy. We just have to have driver's ed, right?
Yeah, she has
14 and
driver's
driver's ed.
A number of the
And here it says person
ordinances tend to be.
below under 18 shall not.
Is this something we're gonna decide today, or we're just talking about it?
No, do we wanna proceed? I have more reservations, I'm less inclined to take those steps for the things that I identified, but if we wanna proceed, then I thought, well, if the state tells us we're supposed to evaluate the traffic conditions in all county roads, and then I just put language in there that says, in agreement with the states allowing use of all-terrain vehicles exclusively for farm implements, we agree that other sectors should be able to use it. They think it's fine for those individuals. I guess I'll piggyback on them versus taking some sort of standard that they apply to us, but. Wait, and it's till what, if something happens and some lawyer finds out you didn't do some sort of procedure to evaluate the county roads, I just think you're subject to a lawsuit, and that's always the case. It may not be fruitful, but you still have to defend yourself.
I agree with piggybacking on the state.
But I still have reservations when the manufacturer says, we're designed for, and the definition is non-highway tires. Putting something,
Well, most of them nowadays don't even have, they have highway tires, they do on truck, yeah.
Yeah, some of those are pretty darn nice.
I guess I don't intend to have an ordinance drafted for our consideration. If somebody wants to work towards that or review some of those things and bring something, we can certainly consider at that time, but
So you want something else?
July.
Just copied it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have uniformity between the two neighboring counties, and we're still sharing trails.
You want to wait, put it on the agenda for next?
Yeah.
Maybe that's more one thing that happens with that.
Yeah. Hopefully by that time we'll be done with the travel.
So do you want it on the 3rd or wait till the 20th?
We got a whole month.
Yeah, whatever day you want.
Doesn't make any difference.
What day was, because it will fall in the,
Depends how long you guys want to do it.
I've got lots of lined up already on all those days.
No, not yet.
I could count.
Yeah, I would too.
And I gotta try to make this back again, I thought I had it all. Okay, now we look at it.
motion to table it to consent.
I'll make that motion.
Let's support that.
Motion to table the item to the 10th of September. For the discussion. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Northwest Iowa Care Connections fiscal year 20 annual service and budget update, summary. Jen Wilson is here. CEO of the region.
Go through things, I come a couple of times a year, do the annual report, and out here do the annual service budget plan. If you've seen one, you've seen them all, kind of thing with the templates, except for the budget content is different. But, the template just kind of starts us off with, how we need to look at local access points, that's on page 1. And, this is a 50-some page document, so I tried to make it a little easier here, put it in 25 pages or less here. But the local access points tell us a little bit about who can go into wherever and get applications and that kind of stuff to access regional funding or access regional service coordination, things of that nature. On the second page, it tells us a little bit about the designated targeted case management agencies. And at this point in time, the only one we have left is the Department of Human Services. MCOs, managed care organizations have offered care coordination as part of their Medicaid funded service, and so we see very little in the way of targeted case management anymore. The way the world is working with redesign. On page 2, we also have crisis planning listed. We have a variety of different services that are provided through that, and we work with a variety of different providers to offer that. Whether a person has targeted case management or integrated health homes or involved in managed care or regional service coordination, there's opportunities for them to seek out crisis services, and we've got numbers and opportunities for them to access that. C talks a little bit about intensive mental health services. One of those is Feeding Center has a restorative community treatment program. That is a core service, and that's designed to work with people that have serious or persistent mental illness to provide a wraparound type of service for them. So it's a team of people that work with them to support an individual in their own home and in the community. And folks that have this type of symptoms or behaviors or things like that, typically you'll find them institutionalized or you'll find them jail or things like that, and so this is an intense service that's designed to assist them to maintain them in their homes. Along with that, the intensive mental health services of intensive residential, subacute, and access center services networks are all in development right now. That's in response to House File 2456 that had to do with the regions providing access to services for people with complex needs. We're talking adults. As we look at the budget, we'll see where we've got some money that are designated for that. Many of these services can be cost prohibitive if you were to do them on your own, and so we're doing some collaboration with Sioux Rivers as well as with Rolling Hills. That's the region Woodbury and through Calhoun County, just south of us, to support the limited amount of people that would utilize the service, but also the development of that. So we'll see more conversation about that. The scope of services, we are responsible for core services according to Administrative Code 441.253. And what that means is that when they look, when the Department of Human Services and the legislature looks at what the regions are doing, it's all about the access to these various services. We don't necessarily pay direct care for them very much anymore because many people are insured at some point with some kind of coverage. Rather, if they aren't, then we are in a position to assist, but it seems as if there's options that are available for people to receive the funding they need. At the top of page 3, there is a website, and it has to do with a dashboard. All the regions are asked to report quarterly on progress as it relates to the access to services, and likewise for provider competencies that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But that gives you a report card, so to speak, of how our region is looking against the other regions. There's 14 of them in the state total. And so it gives us an idea of where we stand as far as development of services, using the dollars that we have available. Provider competencies are another level that we are responsible to oversee, and that includes the uses of evidence-based practices, as well as collaboration on straight-based approaches. And once again, those are on the dashboard too, that show how the regions are functioning with that. Any questions about any of those things? When we move on to the budget, and the budget on page 3 is, has to do with the outpatient services and then inpatient as well. And then you get onto page 4 and you see the crisis services. These are all core services. And as you move further down, you'll see that there's supported community living, there's job supported employment types of things. Those are all considered core services. On page 5, you see that it continues. What about the last third of the page, and that tells us what we're paying, what we're budgeting right now for the core services, about 1.3. And all of those various levels are being addressed. Education and training is one of those areas with core competencies that we look at investing in to help our providers to offset costs that are associated with having a trained workforce. And considering we have a workforce shortage in our region, that is an important line item to be able to help providers to get the trainings that they need. The bottom of page 5 are the mandated services that are regarding court orders. That's the sheriff's, attorney's fees, and mental health advocate. On page 6, we get into the jail-related services. As you see, they're now core service, an additional core. We've invested mental health dollars in order to assist our sheriffs and our jail administrators and jail staff in working with folks who have that need while they're incarcerated.
Who's providing the services for the jail?
The jail services were provided by Hope Haven, and Hope Haven left the mental health arena, and so now we're in the process of recruiting folks. Right now, we have ITP, Iowa Telehealth Partners, who is going to be providing psychiatric evaluations to Osceola County, and we're in the process of looking at creative living to support the therapy pieces of it here, looking at those options. As far as additional core, you can see we've got about $127,000 in that. You get into informational services, we've got some dollars appropriated for incentive payments. That has to do with the development of evidence-based practices. There's a real push on value-based contracting for outcomes at the Medicaid level as well as the region. So that's part of redesign that requires investment. And then likewise, planning and management of consultants. We're one of 3 regions that provides an IPS, an individualized placement and supports evidence-based practice for supported employment. Hope Haven has been a very good partner in that, and they've been very successful up in Worthington offering that service for a number of years. And we're fortunate that they were able to help us get something developed in Iowa. It's to the point where it's received quite a bit of attention from the state to adopt it and bring it to the state level. So we're hoping that that continues on. The outcomes are awesome for people that have mental illness, so we're very pleased with how it's working. As far as the rest of page 7, there's just some dollars that are appropriated for different support services that are essential for community living. And the next page, we do have some dollars that are appropriated for prescription drugs and for in-home nursing. We had someone who needed to have that and had a payment source for that. On page 9, we have a significant amount of dollars that are there for residential care facilities. We have a 34-bed facility in Primgar, as well as a large facility in Lamar's to Riker that we use typically. We have about 10 people in our region that are supported by the region for that service. The majority of those beds are filled by other regions, but, they do provide that level of care. These are folks that require 24-hour supervision, they're typically under the orders of court, and typically have some concern for their safety or others that they need to be in a more supervised setting. So we continue to invest in the individuals that need that level of care. We have heard from the legislature recently that they're starting to fuss about this, that RCS aren't considered a core service, and why would we be spending money on that? And we continue to tell them that we have folks that are at risk, or our communities are at risk, if folks aren't in a place where they're properly supervised. So, we'll continue to invest in that. So you can see along with administration, and we have 3 people, myself and Beth and Sue, that provide the direct administration and purchase administration is everything from the regional attorney to the data system to all kinds of other investments that we do for purchase, for a total of $2,681,915 projected for this year.
So that's direct administration, just salaries, and cover other things,
That's not right.
just salaries. So you have an office, I'm assuming somewhere to, is that figured in there, like?
No.
No.
All the county courthouses provide the facilities for us rent-free, and, yeah, we have no costs associated with that.
Anything like office supplies and all the rest of that stuff, it's just,
Yeah, everything is funded out. And, the direct administration includes myself as well as Sue in that mix. Otherwise, we would be in the service management piece, is where Beth Wells' salary shows up. She's a service coordinator. And there's also contracted positions to look at children's services as well, that's included in that.
so is that 3 FTEs, or is there a part-time in there?
There's 3 FTEs for us. On the next page, on page 10, there's your revenues that kind of talk about where the region has been over this past year. As you're well aware, we've maintained levy equity by going from $10 to $15, so we're all at the same levy rate. That took a while to get that accomplished. And so we're at 15 this year. In the midst of this, we've been trying to honor Senate File 504, which asks the regions, or told regions, that we need to be at 25% or less as far as our fund balance was concerned, so there's been significant drawdown on reserves. So you can see that we're getting down there as far as the reserves are concerned. We also have the regional cap of $30.30 that came through on Senate 504. The caps throughout the state run from $25 all the way up to $47.28. So there's a huge disparity between the regions as far as funding availability based on the cap.
See that chart we showed, I said we were the second lowest
Yes.
max of all the regions available.
Yes. So, yeah, there's just needs to be a lot of work done with that, and that's.
Who determines the regional caps?
I'm sorry,
Who determines the regional caps?
the legislature did. They did on FY16 expenditures, which is rather interesting. They gave us the laundry list in 14 and said, okay, everything should be up and going by 16. Well, many of us were looking at trying to find staff and trying to develop and things like that, and they just kind of stopped the ball on FY16 expenditures and said that's where this regional cap is supposed to be. So we've been moving forward and been developing services, and it's not relevant anymore. So that's kind of where the revenues are at this point in time. The page 11 talks about financial forecasting, and it looks at some of the services that we consider to be priorities, and many of them have to do with crisis services. And, you know, we have mobile crisis in our area, serves both adults and children. And the idea is to get the services to the people when they need them and where they need them. So we've kind of taken that approach. We don't want to be as institutionalized as much as we're saying we want to be in the communities responding to needs as they arise. And likewise with the jails, trying to assist jails with diagnosis and you know, some follow-up with them to ensure that people are safe. The crisis stabilization services, that's something that we're trying to put into place. I've had a contract ready to go for quite a while, have a hard time getting a provider to latch onto that. It's a 24/7 type of service that requires quite a bit of flexibility to be able to go to people when they need it, and that's been a tough one to fill. The rest of them are pretty much, what we've talked about as far as those intensive services are concerned, along with the things that we typically fund. Any questions about that? Page 13, we talk a little bit about access points. And once again, that's the first page kind of talks about where that is, and then the second part of it is what that service network needs to look like. We're finding that we're doing a lot more with the direct care, primary care folks. We find that a lot of folks are going to their primary physicians to find some help, or at least start there and then be referred. And so we've been trying to work more closely with primary care to figure out how to integrate that service. We've got a couple of pilot projects, one in Dickinson and one in Clay right now for familiar faces. And I'm hoping to do something up here too in Elkville. You've got a great group of folks that I think will help to build that network and that sense of integration around those services for people. With the Bearwell Department, that's a big deal too. They do a lot of really great work. We have a great contract with them for location. That's what they do too. But that's kind of the key parts of things, is just trying to understand how the pieces fit together and to be able to work with stigma. I'd say if there's any challenge that we're dealing with, mostly it's with stigma. People don't want to talk about mental health. They don't want to talk about, what it takes to get help and for outreach and things like that. It's very private, and I understand that. It's something that just requires a lot of outreach and a lot of trying to build that relationship to reduce the stigma. Quality service development assistance is in regards to the ISAC initiative that we have in place that's helping us with data collection and outcomes. And we collaborate with a variety of different levels, statewide as well as locally. Like I said, a regional administrative structure, we have 3 people that are providing the services listed there. And then just kind of put that in about the provider reimbursement provisions. We do quite a bit of contracting, but it's more for access and service network kinds of things. We do have some direct care, but not very many block grants anymore, because everything's gone fee for service. I know this part, Jason was saying, I've had plenty of conversations about children's mental health. And I guess there was just a lot of concern on everybody's part that the regions did not receive any allocation for this, of how that's going to take place. And I can say that within this budget, there's just some real minor types of funding that might be available. Respite was one of the areas that Susan said sometimes isn't funded, and so kind of look at some limited dollars for that. Otherwise, mobile crisis is available whether they're kids or adults. The inpatient, outpatient kinds of things, they're not necessarily estimating that there's very many kids that aren't covered by some kind of insurance. So I don't know for sure where we're going to end up with that, but it seems like it might be rather minimal in funding, the funding ends of it. It's more that network building again. The regions are kind of tasked with that, by developing those access points and helping people in the communities to get more engaged with the services and get them responsive to people. So that's where it's kind of heading, but who knows, we'll find out more. Administrative rules are going to be noticed in September to the commission, and that's when we'll find out more particulars for sure, how that's going to relate to regional services.
anything to lobby as far as getting reimbursement rates upped for the providers through the MCOs? Because the MCOs got a bump up in what they were getting paid, but that never seems to trickle down to the people providing the services. Some of these service rates have been the same for the last 15 years. And we've seen we've lost Compass Point, Hope Haven, and I'm sure that list is gonna continue to grow as these reimbursement rates stay stagnant where they have been. What are you gonna do for providers as we continue to shrink the pool?
The state has that in a stranglehold between the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid and the Medicaid enterprise that controls the MCOs. They're the ones that make the decisions about what those rates are gonna be. So as far as lobbying is concerned, I know that I personally go on the service community treatment side of things. I sat in on the work group and talked a lot about the service delivery and the responsibilities for training and education, and then the rates. We did see a bump. It wasn't anywhere near what we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be, it ended up going from 51 to 55, and we were allocating 80. So they are just really, really cut the thumb on it. And we talked, and I'm saying we as in Bob Lincoln, as the CEO, and Kathy Lerman, who was down in Cross Region, we all had ACT programs in rural areas. That model is typically something that has historically been offered in urban areas. And so if they were making their rates based on urban areas, you gotta have a lot more expense that's involved in offering a rural program. So like in our contract with ACT this year, we did provide additional dollars for travel and for funding for education to supplement that. And then some direct care kinds of things, we offered some additional slots, and then offered some incentives with that. So, you know, where we can, we're trying to offer something to kind of take, I don't want to say take the place, but at least augment what's being spent, so that it makes it more profitable for the providers to provide the service. But education is probably one of the only ways it's acceptable for the regions to really get into things, is to offset the cost of the providers that are laid off. And the incentives, if we can get into the incentives game a little bit more to offer them, you know, opportunity for incentives based on outcomes that they provide, then that could become a reward. And that might be another way.
I guess I just don't understand the state wanting to pay the MCOs more money, but nobody else gets any more money to implement any of this stuff.
There's a lot of money walking out of our state.
Yep.
And it's sad, yeah, I don't know, there's plenty of folks, I sit on the Mental Health Planning Council, which is a statewide group, and there's numerous systems that are put on that, and that's always on the table. About, you know, the degree of, or the limitations that are involved in funding because of Medicaid. So yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, well, thank you very much, nice to see y'all, take care.
Well, he beat the line.
Jared, did you talk to, Steve Bob about the copier?
I didn't.
Okay, that's all right. That's okay, they're coming next week with a new one, so.
Okay.
Unless you want me to, or?
I'll
Okay, all right, thank you. That's their papers to the sheriff, that's their papers.
What do they have for a lease and interest?
What Thomas fit please? Termination of warranty.
So I'm confused, since the county owns that property, did we approve that? I
not that,
Because he can't write up leases because they can't own property, the county owns the property.
right,
So, because we were looking for new tenants, we also had to approve that lease, because I remember approving that lease. So to cancel that lease, that discussion should have been approved by the board before they sent out a lease termination. So I'm confused by why he's sending out lease terminations for stuff, because those aren't approved by him anyway.
good question. That,
It's not fair.
I know Carol would have more information on that. Sorry, I'm not,
Well, it just doesn't make any sense, because we approve and cancel leases and care for county property. They can't own property,
right,
so he doesn't have the ability to cancel leases or hand out leases.
yeah, the board has to do that.
And we never approved this, to my knowledge.
No,
Sure, how do they clean the jackets? Are they open after each election done that morning, or started in the afternoon, or?
Almost, they don't probably do jury selection all day.
And that's all day.
I'm guessing that the jury selection will probably be all day.
You got a bunch of them looking at it.
What to do?
I think I just saw the hang the bastard. Hang the bastard.
Yeah,
Year.
Yeah, they get to be a long way from.
The only good part about being an elected official, I think your name's off the table.
Is it? I'm not having that off for a long time. Okay, only all at once.
It's flat out cold in here.
It's not hot.
He's got the yard looking nice.
Ivan stuck in road construction, he's gonna be a few minutes late. Ivan is
Where's-
stuck in, I don't know where he's at, he's stuck in road construction, he called me out. So it'll be a
The
few
road
minutes.
construction, how can that be?
I don't know. We are,
You know, I'm
You got
scared.
a sign on Tyler Avenue.
Yeah, you know, I'm scared of doing 26 miles. Are those 26 miles all gonna come due again at the same time next time?
Yeah, there's always a road to do that.
You know, one of these days I'm gonna go through these drawers and just throw it all away.
I swear I do that every few months, and then I can't push anything in the files after a day or two.
I don't say a lot of that because I know I can go to the, Rochelle's office and get the information. That's what they always told me. Arlen always thought I was so unorganized back there. I got piles on my desk. But I had a spot right here I could work. They always told us, if you go to another spot to get your information, don't stay there.
Computers, you could take care of them.
I took it to Michelle's office to take care of that.
Take care of what?
About four computers.
You throw a lot of papers away every day.
Yeah, and, files, and it's like after so long, it's like, I don't know what to do with it anymore.
And that
See what
housing remodel,
Attorney's got lots of nothing to do.
all the stuff that we can't shred or recycle. Instead of shredding, I guess, we can.
But you know, even,
They discussed it, so I don't know what the, I'll ask Rowan about it. It's already canceled now. So they have to rebid that. What's,
Has to be notification in the paper, and they have to be sealed bids, I'm guessing, like in the past. And, I don't know if no one gets that ready and sends to the paper, or. Assuming the attorney's office does.
is that a proper conservation, or I don't know, because that's drainage plan.
Yeah, Nick takes care of all that.
So you need to set a public hearing date, is it?
For the meeting on the 43, filing the report. There's been a few farm or wetland information, scanning those for Ivan as soon as we get them in, so.
Did he recommend a date? I don't remember.
I don't think he did, but I remember.
We got a whole bunch of September to pick from, there's one of those that fit the requirements. Did you have a preference?
Probably have to be, is that 4 and 10, or is that 10 and 20, depends on the publication, and I have to be 20 days out, or to notify,
About to be,
like, 4, I'm guessing.
same, signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
How did we ever turn out with the hay cutting up there at the industrial park? Did somebody end up on that?
Yeah, they cut it and nailed it, and had it all done. Well, if they, he didn't mow, I don't know if he took care of that or not, but we were in there. Two lots, and we still have some tap on to, smooth that other lot. In between there, he was gonna either, he said it was nothing but weeds, so he's either gonna disc it down or mow it down. He didn't. I haven't looked to see what he did.
So you will handle those lots, yeah. This year, sure.
Morning.
Good morning.
What's going on at the courthouse today?
Trial.
There's stuff parked all over the place. And there's enough road construction up this side.
Will we charge by the minute for tardiness?
See you here.
Don't back.
Sorry, I did, you seconded it, but you're not.
Okay.
Alright, it is now 11 o'clock. Item G, regarding the filing of DD 43 engineers report. On that, we'll consider tentative approval and set a public hearing date.
Yes. Okay, in regard to, just a little background, DD 43 again is the district that's right below Drainage District 9. Drainage District 9, back this winter, the approval of the, improvement to DD 9 took place. In January, you received a petition then, in Drainage District 43, the last paragraph of introduction there on page 1. You received that petition, and we did a preliminary report with the informational meeting on 43, and the informational meeting was held on March 26th. At the informational meeting, 3 options were basically covered and outlined in the letter report: grass waterway, full tile improvement, or partial relief tile. The landowners present showed interest in option 2, which is the full parallel relief tile line, and we were further instructed to basically prepare a report for that relief. In regard to the options that were discussed at the preliminary, in Appendix D, the very far back portion of the report, there is a summary of the options. We didn't put the full report in there, but we did put the option section in there, and then we had attached flat sheet that showed the different options that were looked at that time. And again, the waterway system was basically going to be the very back flat sheet in the very back. That waterway system would have been, because we know that DD 9 is going to bring significantly more water down, almost 20 CFS comparatively to what it has been in the past. In DD 9, the reason this system in 43 has worked well over the years is because DD 9 was so restricted in regard to the capacity of their tile system. So, one option was, the cheapest option was to basically allow more water to come to the surface out of 9 and basically take it overland. 43 does have the fact that they do have surface relief all along that lower portion of the district. Waterways obviously are maintenance problems, not a real good option in, long-term results, because you still ain't taking care of your subsurface tile water. You're just basically passing surface water. You're basically allowing nines of water to come to the surface and flow down over the ground to get out of there. We also looked at a partial relief. Partial relief was to take the most restrictive segments from above branch, getting partial relief up to 36, where the branch 36 tile comes in. There's a lot of significant additional water coming in at that point. And again, not a real good option, but would have allowed 43's tile system to provide about 60% of the overall capacity that would be normally recommended for the system. So the full tile relief is basically putting in a new outlet below 59. We would actually replace that tile with a 36-inch tile, and then a parallel 24-inch tile from that point on upstream. Going back to the front portion of the report, we talk about the facility, the history, the survey, the capacity aspect that's involved, and then talk about the improvement that the full tile relief improvement. Road crossing wise, we do have Highway 59 that would have to take a new jack and bore, a new tile system underneath of there. Their existing tiles, would be too small. We're looking to put in a bigger outlet underneath of 59. And then again, under County Road 16, if you go to probably the best one would be the A2 sheet in your plan set there. We would need to put the new tile system, and I see a problem. We got a layer that didn't get turned on that flat sheet. We'll probably have to replace that sheet. But this at least shows you where your major flows come into the existing tile system. You got a branch 24 and you got a branch 36. 36 has a significant volume of water coming in on it. And then you get up to County Road 160 up here, and there would be a parallel system extending all the way up to Redwood Avenue right here. Behind all that is, I'm sorry, I was pointing out, it's on the improvement flat. A.04 is the improvement flat that shows the parallel tile system. Okay, the other items of importance here is, we talked about the road crossings. We really don't know exactly. We don't have a lot of history as to why the outlet pipes were put in at the downstream end of the open ditch east of Highway 59, outlet into Drainage District number 11's open ditch. If you're looking on the front here, below 59, that's an open ditch. The district tile outlets into that open ditch.
three culverts at the end of that open ditch dropping into, the DD11 facility. They're in poor shape. You can see that the, water's been starting to pipe along a couple of them. Their, water at times is overtopping the dike that's there. So we, in the preliminary and in the final, we're recommending you take those culverts out. You're going to open that up. It'll be a free flowing outlet into 11, but we would upgrade the open ditch of 43 by, regrading it, putting in check structures in there, with riprap to, keep it stable and make it a better outlet long-term for everything. Severance in regard to, are we cutting off access for a landowner? It doesn't appear that they were probably using it as a access across the ditch on a regular basis anymore. Plus, they got access off of, on both sides of the ditch, they got access off of Highway 59. So besides the tile system, you're also upgrading the open ditch downstream. We talked about right-of-way, that there would be, additional right-of-way along 43's open ditch section that we would recommend. And then, in summary there, if you go to page, 7 and then on to 8, we update in regard to the assessment schedule valuation. We talk about the fact that you've gone through the annexation and that there's only one assessment schedule for Drainage District 43. And again, you have multiple facilities that are being served, by this, district, and there should be separate assessment schedules. You've also annexed 200+ acres into the district already that have to be classified, or you reclassify the whole district to take care of. Plus, if the improvement is approved at hearing, obviously, you need to reclassify to redistribute benefit from that improvement. So, we also talk about the jurisdictional wetland. On page 9, we talk about the fact that, the fact that we, had sent letters already to the landowners, requesting landowners provide copies of their wetland determination. We note the fact that if there were wetlands found, that there could be mitigation costs involved, for those wetlands. But again, in review of the wetland inventory map, updated wetland inventory map, we're not finding any, farm or any wetlands showing up on the inventory map. That doesn't mean, there's nothing out there, but in general, gives you an indication that you're probably not gonna find it. If we're gonna find wetlands, we would expect it to be in the very upper portion of the watershed, because that's landlocked, that has to go by tile. Once you get below Highway 9, about a half a mile south of 9, you start picking up surface relief below 9. Okay, water quality aspects, we talked about encouraging landowners to be considering water quality. We do, talk about, treatment wetlands in this portion too, that, the use of a treatment wetland would be, something that could be considered. You could probably offset some of your length of district tile with a treatment wetland, and there would be funding sources for construction of a treatment wetland. And then the one thing that a landowner could do with a treatment wetland, if there would be such a thing looked at here, is that the landowner could potentially bank those, actually form his own wetland bank and sell credits out of that bank. So, we just note that there's things there that endangered species, we talked about the Topeka shiner. The only thing you got in, the Little Rock River, you know, up in the very northwest, have, habitat area noted. But nothing that would be involved in this project, and then we also talked about the northern long-eared bat. All of the, a lot of Iowa is included in potential habitat areas of the long-eared bat, which is also a endangered species, or I should say threatened species. But we would probably, any tree clearing, which would be minimal, it would be through the Bachman property, where their growth is probably starting to cause problems anyway, because they got trees getting way too close to that tile system. And root systems from trees are gonna love getting into that tile system. So by putting a parallel system through there and clearing trees back, we would need to get trees cleared back a minimum of 50 feet each side of that tile system. We talked about the recommendations there, that yes, for capacity purposes, the relief tile system would be what would be recommended. And then we talked about installment payments there on page 11. That, you know, the board, typically the board would spread assessments of the magnitude contemplated in this report over 20 years. Be reminded that final individual assessments are based on benefits, that some parcels will likely bear 2 to 3 times the average that we show on the cost estimate. Going to the cost estimate, we are in Appendix B in the report, is the itemized breakdown of the cost estimate. A little different than what we had in the preliminary report, I do want to note this, is in Drace District 9, before 43 was considering doing anything, 9, we were recommending that 9 basically tie in on the north or the west side of Redwood Avenue. With 43, if 43 is doing the project up to there, it makes more sense to bring the new outlet of 9 by 9 under Redwood Avenue. So they would be responsible for the pipe coming under in their project under Redwood. The county would have to pay the cost of providing that outlet under Redwood. But it would be built into 9's theoretically contract. And then on the east side of Redwood, we would put the new junction structure with an intake on the downstream side or the east side of Redwood. And that's so that the parallel tile system coming up from 43 would have a junction structure to tie into with the new 30-inch coming out of 9 going into that junction structure on the east side. So that's a little different than what 9 project, because 9 project, if 43 wasn't doing anything, we would end it at the west side of Redwood. Okay. Junction structures, those type costs, we're trying to build everything of this project in. The engineering services cost down there, we would expect, if this project was approved, doing the joint project between the 2 districts, there would be cost savings on engineering, you know, allocated between these 2 districts. But we projected these costs, assuming 43 is doing their project separately right now, because we got no guarantee. So we projected it like 43 is doing their project, 9's doing their project.
You give us that guarantee.
So, but,
You weren't joking, were you?
But,
You got it, been hanging around me too long.
trying to project hopefully the maximum size of what a project would cost if 43 was doing her all alone, on itself. Note down there, annexation, we threw in what annexation ended up costing, and we had projected we had projected, $3,000 in our preliminary report, and it came at, $3,560. Really the change there was, getting landowners that turned in records after we filed our report, and we had to make modifications to the boundaries and acres and stuff for that annexation. Reclassification, don't know exactly how many schedules we would end up with, but you would have a main tile system, you would, at a minimum, have, branch 24 and branch 36 tile systems that would, have separate schedules, and branch 36 has 7 additional lateral on it. We would probably group some of those, but there could be in the neighborhood of at least 5 different schedules that you would end up with on DD 43. And down below, we also do project the open cut under 160th Street for the county involvement. We threw this in here because DD 9, we didn't have that projected cost in there, but we want to make sure the county is aware that, if this project moves forward, there's a crossing there that has to be contended with, and then the Jack and Bore on our Highway 59. Again, we'd be working through the DOT. DOT is responsible for the upgrade of that crossing, but we still have to work through them and stuff, for approvals and stuff of that. So, that is the report overall. Again, informational meeting, landowners supported the fact that we're gonna spend money, let's spend money to upgrade this thing so that we have both, good agricultural drainage on our system as well, because of DD 9's tile system coming down the system. With that, what we would be looking for is tentative approval of the report and setting a hearing date on this report. Again, at the hearing, the landowners are given that remonstrance right. This is when they officially, if they're gonna remonstrance from the project, and the remonstrance again is over 50% of the landowners controlling 70% of the land objecting to the improvement project. And the synopsis of that is the landowners in Drainage District 9 are contained within Drainage District 43. So could the landowners upstream say, well, we didn't want to pay more costs to continue the system downstream. So theoretically, they could say, nah, we're not in favor of this. And even if there was good support from the people at the bottom end, I don't think that would happen, but I'm throwing it out there. That's a scenario that could play out.
Well, it's gonna cost some of those guys more money again.
Yeah, it will, yeah. So, but if this was one overall district, at the time when 43 formed, probably the best thing that could have happened, because 9 was again contained, would have been to transfer everything over to 43, and DD 9 went away. So.
But if you look at the 4 people that signed this, they control it.
They do. I mean, they got a lot of the land, and Sunsigard upstream, he's not going to oppose this. those two and, Paul and Harold down below should pretty much ensure that thing, isn't gonna get a monster.
This will be a parallel line, right?
Yeah.
Alongside the old line.
That's correct.
Okay, on this one map, I don't know, it's E01 on the bottom corner there.
Okay.
Towards the end of it, you've got crush and bury the existing tile line. Why,
That's at the, down below Highway 59. That one, that stretch, 400 and some feet from Alton in the open ditch through Highway 59, we went parallel. We replaced that line with an upgraded line. So that
so what do you do, connect that whole existing line into that new 30 you're gonna?
Yeah, there'll be a junction structure on the west side of 59 that the two, parallel 24s, the existing and the new coming out of there with junction at Highway 59.
Can I ask that, why would you crush and bury that existing line? What's the point to do that?
Well, so that you don't have the upkeep and maintenance of two lines there, and that if there's any private tile lines coming into the old line, then if you parallel it there, you're only gonna be tied in on whatever the old line from one side. And in the future, if the district isn't maintaining both lines, then as the old line starts giving out, people are gonna have to bring their private tile across and tie back into the new main. So the crush and bury is, basically, there's only 457 feet or so of this that we're basically getting out of the way now, with one crossing coming under Highway 59, with a junction structure tying everything together on the west side of Highway 59. Could we keep them, put in another parallel along that one? Yes, but long-term, if we're doing this, it probably makes the most sense to get the old line taken care of and only have one to deal with for an outlet coming into the open ditch.
Ms. Harry, didn't you say you were looking at doing improvements to the open ditch all the way up to 59?
Yes, we are.
So why couldn't that tie into the open ditch further east, closer to 59, rather than going 400 feet?
Downstream.
Great issues, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, elevation-wise, we have to be downstream of 59 elevation-wise
Right.
to outlet.
Right, but this over 430 feet, so saying E1, you know,
Yeah, let me go for that. Yeah, why are we coming in here?
to go in, why coming through, can't be basically
We wouldn't be deep enough, and since the current outlet was down here, could we look at possibly shortening that up some? Yeah, we
it looks like it's outletting plenty above the bottom of the ditch,
yeah,
but that's 400 feet away.
that's a good point.
Would that eliminate some of that extra dirt work or whatever you're talking?
No, we need to that ditch is unstable right now, and we're looking to grade it in what we call a two-stage ditch. The width of the bottom right now, we keep as narrow as we can, bring it up, and then we widen it as we step out of the ditch and go on up to keep the side slopes stable. And then you can, if you look on sheet D.01, you'll see that the grade there on that open ditch is 1.39% grade, which is very steep for an open ditch. We're talking 400s to 700s typically, and this is 1.4% grade. So we are also putting in rock check dams all the way up that system, because the ditch is unraveling some up the ditch. We got cutting going on in also where the tile outlets, we would have to fortify in that location with riprap underneath of the outlet. But you got a point there, we could look to see what we could shorten to bring the existing tile system in. And then, I guess we wouldn't have to crush that line down below, we were thinking, we're basically following, we gotta crush, if we're gonna crush it anyway and get rid of it, we would just basically be paralleling, in a sense, the trenching along it down to the same outlet location. But there would be a possible, savings there if we outlet it upstream some.
Or could you go all the way to this big open ditch and save all the...
We still have an unstable open ditch.
That's deep, that ditch is.
Yeah, number 11, yes, we could easily outlet directly into DD 11. There's, it could go straight there, but we still have a lot of surface water coming down this open ditch. So we would still have to do something to stabilize that.
I don't think you're doing it just because you were dumping.
No. Because, again, over 55% of this district, all including everything up north of 9, does have surface flows that come and go through under 59 down this ditch. That stretch isn't very long. There's probably not much private tile coming in there, but there could be some. Our understanding, again, very little history here, but our understanding is that this used to be a tile system all the way down to number 11. There must have been blowouts or something occurred, and they basically opened the open ditch. They cut the open ditch, and then the tile system must have been partially relocated along our downstream of 59. There's an indication that they took out 300 feet, I think, that were at station 360, about 300 feet of the tile system was removed and open ditch opened up. That's small little clip about the information, but the old original plat shows the tile system actually going to 11. But there's always been surface water coming down the system. I mean, there's always been surface water.
Well, I suppose it did until they dug that ditch. I don't know what year they dug that ditch, but.
Yeah, I can't remember, without going back into the history as to what year that opened ditch. Oh, you mean DD 11?
Yeah.
Well, DD 11 would have been around before 43.
But that ditch probably wasn't, was it? When was that ditch?
The 43's ditch,
11's ditch.
11's ditch was early 1900s.
So was it that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
9 would have been a little before 11, numerically in order there, 9, but 11 would have came right shortly after.
I had someone at the far north end of 943 indicated potentially selling, just wanted to disclose what the estimated average cost per acre might be. He had asked on 43, but the north end of 43 or 9 likely be above or below the average. Their highest one is going to be on 9's improvements, correct?
Yeah, again, if the districts remain this date moving forward as separate districts, they would be the high, well, excuse me, their assessment on 43 would probably be closer to the average because they're removed that distance, proximity-wise from 43. So an average estimate for them on 43 would probably be good, with them being 2.5 times the average on 9. The earliest Tuesday, 40 days out is, October 8th. I think I had that right. We have 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, they have 34 through the end of September, and, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so the first, Tuesday, 40 days out is, October 8th. And again, what you would be looking for, I'm assuming we're gonna be into cropping season, we're gonna need to have, probably a nighttime hearing, I would assume you'd be looking at, and it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday again, it can be on whatever day you wish to select in regard to, 40 days from today.
First, item would be give approval to the report as received.
Yes.
So moved.
Hearing Elmer's offers that motion for approval, tentative approval of the report submitted. Report from Mr. Jones, any further discussion? All those in favor of that approval signify with aye. All those opposed, same sign. And now we would be looking at the setting of the public hearing date. You're identifying the first available date would be the 8th, which would be a likely day of a regular meeting, or is there a different time that we would want to set that?
Sounds good. Or do we wanna have them at night because of the?
Best we've done in the evening.
At nighttime, yes.
Any day, right?
Right.
Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I don't know what your church nights are of this.
Wednesday, could be on a Thursday night. 11 should be.
Staying away from a Monday night is always usually good, because people coming off the weekends, sometimes Sunday nights are not a good night, they have that. Tuesday night, Thursday night, doesn't matter.
And the harvest end, I don't know that evenings are gonna be
High school
Saturday.
sports are all rocking this time of year too, so.
football season, so Tuesdays aren't as likely, maybe volleyball, and remembering what those.
Maybe Tuesday would be the better route.
Morning, I don't know if you think morning would be of issue. It hasn't been as contentious as some would mean.
Everything's so far behind anyway, I don't know if there'll be much getting out in October anyway.
Probably just getting into the bean crop at that time, right?
As on the frost.
Yeah. Well, that's true too.
Could be looking at
Everything's way planted for the most part up here, so I don't.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks behind down there too.
And mornings, you're often waiting for
the
And I
dew and
do
everything.
to go off too, it might, I'm not advocating for it, just.
You don't make a whole lot, really.
Whatever.
I'm thinking first thing in the morning on Tuesday, first item on the agenda.
Before your regular meeting?
Yeah, because still wait for the frost to get out, if we're to that point where the morning dews, that you're not gonna be running
I think.
much that early in the day anyway, so.
Okay. Typically, around the
lot of times, depending on how many questions, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, most of these that we've had so far have been at least an hour and a half.
But this group is very much the same as 9, who were
Right.
really involved
And
in
they,
the last longer one, but.
we've been educating them on this since 2014. So, they've heard this many a times already.
Yeah, if we were to set it for the morning of the 8th,
Okay?
what, would we be restricted in postponing it till that Thursday evening or something? If we start getting feedback, well, why'd you do that? Why do we can't make that? Is that an option, or?
Well, once notice goes out, you have to call the hearing together
Right.
and then continue it, that's correct. And the way these hearings have gone, you know, there's always been some landowners wanting, for some reason, a continuation.
And that could happen with this, again, knowing the landowners involved.
So, you know, doing it in the morning on the 8th, and if there's something contentious with it, and knowing that we're probably gonna continue it, maybe going with the morning, earlier morning, when they, do issues out there, and do it during the daytime.
Well, so,
We can start it at 8.
if we can continue it, we don't have to provide the notice, I'm not saying we won't or couldn't.
Right.
Just depending, I don't wanna get into a place where people didn't realize that, people have been calling in and they intend to wait until Thursday night to really deal with it.
No,
Make that.
it still has to be,
Yeah, no, I know everybody can start then, but even if we're getting a lot of feedback and deciding what, the morning is not like a good time, that's what we posted, that's what we published, that's what the notice is. We have to start it, obviously, but if we're saying the following Tuesday night or that Thursday night, more people are available, it's what we continue it to.
yeah, they should still be showing up for the 8 o'clock.
And our notice will include language that says any objections should be received prior to the start of the public hearing.
Yeah, I will, I'm gonna ask that we have notice reviewed again by public, or by legal counsel. And we're going to 6 o'clock.
This would be apart from, separate from a board meeting.
I would suggest if we have a starting time that we go to 8:30, in case there's also people that have drop-offs and other things going on. It would also give us a little more time, we could shoot to be up here by 8:15 instead of 8:30.
I'll make the motion for 8:30 on the 8th, October.
Motion from Mike Schulte to set a public hearing date for DD 43 tile improvements for October 8th at 8:30 a.m.
Do you wish to include, with notice to be prepared by legal counsel?
Didn't I say that?
The only thing is that magistrate, and hopefully there's nothing going on actually with the magistrate, so he's here on Tuesday, because he probably would be in the courtroom, I'm guessing.
Probably best that we plan for that anyway.
What's nothing else we could have out here, we'll turn it to.
Before. Motion and support for that time and date with notice drawn up by legal counsel for review. Further discussion concerning that, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Well, I have a second copy for use in reviewing the office. That one should be file stamped, and the official copy for the record.
Report tonight, correct?
Yes.
Average per acre.
For 20 years, yes, or,
Okay. Thank you. Anything further, gentlemen? None?
drop this off next door.
Consider motion to adjourn. Motion from DeBoer, Melmer, any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, signify with aye. Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
We lost it. You're the one that said.